Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life.
And Professor Sunrise Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunrise here, and welcome to the first episode of Professor Sunrise Duel Academy, a place where I'm going to either do replay analysis and play-by-play analysis, or I'm going to talk about weird Yu-Gi-Oh concepts like tempo, card advantage, side decking, how to prepare for a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, being like the meta talk, how to assess the meta, what defensive cards to play, all these weird sort of things I'm going to cover in this Duel Academy. In the first episode, we have the Phantom Knights, Brave Phantom Knights versus Sky Striker matchup, probably one of PK's hardest matchups. I'm just going to talk to you about how I approach these matchups, what my thought process is with my plays, what my side decking choices are in the matchup like this, and all those sort of things. So let's just get right into the replay. So we are in the replay now. As you can see, I won the die roll. We are at like roughly 600 to 700 elo, so this is pretty much high rated DB, I would say. Sadly, I can't play that much. You can actually see my thing. Yeah, here we are at 590. The opponent is at 730. Let's put that back in there. So the opening hand we have is Torn Scales, Boots, Droplets, Wielder, Ancient Cloak. This is completely busted going first or going second. We have full combo. We have another extender. We have a good extender and a discard for the Brave part. The opponent has Veiler Imperm. So theoretically, he could stop a lot of our plays, but not all of them. Has a Mystic Mine. The main reason he's not going to throw those at us, an Anchor to stop our Griffin, and an Engage. So we are basically screwed to the Mystic Mine no matter what we're doing, but we of course don't know that. I'm just going to fast forward through the combo because this is super basic and it doesn't matter what he's doing here. Because he actually doesn't do anything, so we're just going through a full combo. We are going to end on double Fogblade, a Griffin Rider, an Evil Soul Nightmare for 2 books, and a Trap Engrave actually to get the Breaksword on board for the Rusty Pop, and we're going to have a Droplet with it. Like I said, it doesn't matter what we're doing here. We of course use the Stain Grease route because we already used the boots. Pitching the Draco back for Taunt Skills, of course, to get it back onto the field. Use the Wielder for the Breaksword. Summoning back, Evil Swarm Nightmare. It doesn't really matter what we do here. There's nothing you can really misplay here. So, like I said, the end board, so it's 3 Monster Disruptions, 1 Omni Negate, 2 books, 1 Wing, Engrave for the pop. As you can probably tell, these disruptions all suck against Sky Striker. Like, okay, you need maybe 1, maybe 2 Fog Blades are fine, but they're not really good. Evil Swarm Nightmare doesn't really do a lot anyways, other than hitting a Sky Striker monster with the Break Sword, popping it, and then we can book the Ray if we want to, but like there's not a lot you can do in this scenario with a board like this. And him using Engage here to search an Anchor is even worse, because it probably tells that he has a Mystic Mine. I didn't personally think about it in this scenario. I think he just had a lot of cards anyways, like probably has an Anchor already and a Starter, so he just uses Afterburner to force out cards. I let this on the token resolve here because I want to not play around talents. I want to play around talents by not using a monster effect as early as possible, because okay, I could negate here and I keep the token, have it with Draco back equipped, but he probably has an Anchor anyways, because he's searching Afterburners. So I just didn't want to run into a talent, so we keep that here. Not that it mattered, he has the Anchor anyway, so if we negated here, he would have anchored, then we still would have get a Mystic Mind, and we didn't have the Draco back to out the Mystic Mind, so we just get Mystic Mind here, and we are just going to wait to see the Cosmic. Quick thing here, we use the Adventure to force out the, to just thin out the deck here, so we can draw Mystic Mind earlier, not Mystic Mind, Cosmic Cyclone, I'm sorry. So, quick gameplay you want to do in this scenario, you just want to wait for the Cosmic, so the 1 main deck out you have, and then you have to think, okay, I'm going to have to OTK through a shit ton of cards. Probably a nib, like 99% of the time a nib, like a lot of hand traps, a lot of back row probably, so you gotta keep that in mind for when you do the push. It's going to take some time here. We are going to summon the token here on the field, so we have a Griffin Rider negate available to us whenever we need it, when he starts playing or removing his Mystic Mine. He's starting to thin his hand by sending cards because of hand size limits. He is trying to take the Griffin Rider here to crash it so we don't have exit to it. We are going to, in damage step, use the droplet we have because it doesn't have any value to us anyway. And we are going to send the the Rusty in damage step to the grave, so he actually doesn't have the access to do a re-attack, so he can't crash the Griffin Rider into us. That's a pretty good thing to do in this scenario, so we always have the Griffin Rider, and now we drew the Cosmic, and we can actually start to play. He discards Bailout for hand size. I didn't notice it that there. We Cosmic the Mystic Mine, of course, and now we have to game plan is to force out an OTK. Very early on, we have access to that with a lot of cards like Griffin Rider and Token having 4k already, and we have cards like E-Tally and Traps in Grave, which can actually give us damage into the battle phase. Now that I think about it, I easily could have OTK'd earlier maybe if I didn't think about an anchor here, but we summon the Enchantress, so because we want to go for a rank 3 play. That's the first summon. We go for Breaksword. That's the second summon. We pop the try to pop the Fog Blade plus this, but it doesn't do anything. We try to use Griffin here, but he is going to negate that with the Beta, so we already got 2 negates out of him by just using the Breaksword and the Griffin. We never want to get the Griffin out anyways. It was never going to resolve here, so I use it out very early. In this scenario, I'm thinking, okay, I just need to out the second back row if it's an anchor to be able to OTK. So we use the third summon to go for a Phoenix, popping the thing here. Now that I think about it, maybe I could have OTK'd by just using... Yeah, I could have OTK'd here way earlier. But he could have ashed the E-Tally, so that was probably not the a play you want to go for. Because if I don't OTK here, I'm completely screwed. I could have OTK'd even earlier if I used the Fog Blade on the Breaksword to summon that, or on the Evil Soul Nightmare, because we couldn't actually use it on the Breaksword. So actually using Fog Blade and Evil Soul Nightmare here, and then going with those two going into Phoenix, forcing out the back row, and if the back row is nothing which we are scared of, we could have OTK'd there, but him using summoning a Nibiru here makes it so that we can't actually do that play. So now we go into Unicorn, doing a misplay here, pitching the right, which we definitely wanted to keep in the hand. So we should have used Boots earlier. You get it into the grave, search with Boots, get the Fog Blade, so we have a discard and keep the right, because we always played around the nib here. So we knew the nib was coming, so having the right here in the hand would have been amazing for OTKs, because it's 2k attack, it's so busted. We go for Battle Phase here, because we now have game on board with the E-Tally in hand and the grave access with Wing for Breaksword, so we have over 8k. He has to nib here though now, so we're now trying to search for another OTK route. Sadly, because we didn't use the Fog Blade for this card, we don't actually have an OTK route here, so I'm just trying to build as many disruptions as I possibly can. So that means F0 plus 2 Fog Blades. So let's just go for it. F0 always means Livia route, so we just go for Livias here. I'm just going to fast forward real quick because we missed the OTK, sadly, because we're dumb. So we gotta go for something differently. We use the Fog Blade on the Boots here, so we can get it into the grave. The E-Tally got ashed, so we don't actually have access to the Livia. If that wasn't the case, we still would have OTK'd there, but we still, no worries, have a Wing in the grave to actually get into the Livia, the F0. Popping Nibiru in the meantime with Rusty, and then overlaying these for the F0 package, and then we still have 2 Fog Blades plus an F0 as disruption, which is not the best against Sky Striker. Against everything else, it would be immediate game in the game state like these. But Sky Striker theoretically could top deck a Widow Anchor and win. Luckily, he didn't top deck a Widow Anchor, it's just a Lightning Storm, which he uses on the monsters. I don't know about that. I think that was a misplay. He was scared of a pop here, but these 2 Fog Blades are definitely more disruptions than the 1 pop, because I actually don't have the pop ready to me, because I still need to get a Fog Blade into the grave. So we just sit on that. We try to use the Dark Charmer here, but we actually don't have a target in grave in deck anymore. We only have Taunt Scales for PKs. He uses the Hornetrons to get Ray access, basically, or like Sky Striker engine access. He chain blocks the Kagari here, which was definitely my go-to Draco back target, just the first Kagari, to actually get rid of his Sky Striker engine, especially if he goes into Hornetrons like that. Because if he uses Ray or like any normal summon and we get rid of his Kagari, the only way he can get back into Sky Striker engine in the game state like this is with Hornetrons or like with here the field spell and multi-roll. So it's very unlikely for him to get back into the engine with Horn of Thrones already used, but he chain blocks the Kagari with Rose, so we can't actually steal that. We could have gotten rid of the Rose, but we can always later steal the body on the field to go for a link climb, so I didn't negate the Rose here. And we just fog break the Kagari, target and engage, of course, because we don't want him to get a free draw plus an anchor. Now he goes, I think, for Hayate to maybe force out a negate, but I'm thinking, okay, the 1.5k attack doesn't matter at all. The only thing important in this game state is the Kaina, because we always want to attack with the Draco back. So we gotta keep that in mind, and he could theoretically still go for Zeke, so we definitely want to keep the our negates ready for us. For Zeke plus Kaina, which are the most important cards, in a card like Enforcer is always threatened with Fusion Destiny hand, but we are on a Draco back, so we don't really care about not Draco back, Draco Future. We don't really care about Enforcer as much because he cannot actually out our boss monster. So we are fine. We negate the Kaina here with the Draco Future. He goes for Shiz, use Enforcer, and Shiz replay end phase. He's going to search something. It doesn't matter too much. He can't search Shard Cannon here, so it's not like he has any real threat with that. He uses Enforcer to pop the Fogblade into the end phase. I'm fine with that because I didn't want the Enforcer to be stuck on the field and me somehow not being able to kill enough bodies in the meantime, because if we Fogblade this, we can't actually attack it, and I was just scared because I knew I will have game anyways. So we let that resolve. His only disruption is an Enforcer, and we do have the Draco back for that, so we have double Fogblade in the grave with 1 Taunt skill, so we can get like 4 bodies on the field guaranteed, and if we top deck a body, we have 5 bodies. Together with the Kaina, we have 6 bodies, so that's way more. That's enough to get for access code line, and with access code we have 2 pops, so we are guaranteed to win at this point. I think he knows it, but he's maybe wanting to look for a misplay. Our extra deck is very thin. It's basically only Livia, Downard, Zeus plus access code, but that's more than enough to finish here. So we just go for an access code. He's like, yeah, okay, I can't out that. Of course, he could use the Enforcer here. We would negate that, so he can't really use it. And with access code, we can just pop his Shiz. He probably doesn't play another Kaina. If he played another Kaina, he theoretically could have still won here, maybe, because our monsters do lose quite a bit of attack. But yeah, there's not a lot he can do here. So we win that. Siding here, we just sided all the back row hate. Hope we get to, we are led to go second, which we are not in this case. So game 2 is very hard for us to win in this point, especially with the hand we are going to draw. Our hand is 4 defensive cards plus 1 Fateful, 1 Brave Engine, and he has 4 defensive cards plus 1 Ray, so that's way better for him because our defensive cards don't really hurt his plays. I'm going to think, okay, I could use the Temple here to actually get a disruption on board, but he's almost always going to have 1 defensive card anyways, and I'm just going to lose access to Lightning Storm, so I'm just hoping he maybe commits to the board, and I can Lightning Storm him and Cosmic his back row, and then maybe try to get into the game with the Brave Engine, but we don't have any PKs in our hands, and even the top deck Taunt Scales wouldn't really help us here. So he's just doing basic plays. I'm ashing this so he doesn't have engage access, so we slow his next turn a little bit, but he already has a hard run engage, and if he gets 3 spells into the grave, we are basically lost. We don't draw any play here. We try to play pitching Taunt Scales, going for Enchantress, so my thought process was, okay, this turn I'm going to play PK route if I get to play, and next turn I'm going to play an Enchantress with the PKs in grave. But we do get completely stopped here by Lancia, so we don't have any plays at all. We set the Cosmic, and now I know I'm basically lost because he has so many resources to get my resources out of the grave with the Shard Cannon. My only real hope of winning here is him getting rid of all of my resources. I top deck a Taunt Scales. With Lightning Storm and Cosmic, I can clean his whole back row, and he doesn't have any hand traps left. But that's super unlikely, and I'm slowly starting to realize that here, and I think I'm going to scoop real quick here. Once he gets the Shard Cannons alive, I'm just going to fast forward here because, yeah, he's just going to Shard Cannon here. I could have Cosmic the Shard Cannon, but I'm like, it doesn't really do anything at all, because he can just in end phase search another Shark Cannon with Shiz, and so we lose all of those. Let's go for game 3. I let him go first here. The side deck is still the same, just all the back row hate, and I think one called by the Grave maybe. Definitely will always keep in the 3-4 place because the matchups can be a little grindy, even though we are most likely to lose in a grind game. He starts his engine with an Hornet round, so that's nice. No Ray access yet, just Shizuka here. Just a huge misplay by setting the Imperm. I now know this is not the card he's going to search with Shiz, which is going to be probably a Shark Cannon. No, the Shark Cannon with Engage. Yeah, just know that the Disruption is not the one he searched with the Engage. So if he didn't do that, it could have been a little better for him. I don't know why he did it like that. It doesn't have any benefit of him setting the Imperm there. It just gives me the information, okay, this is not Shark Cannon. He does have the Fusion Destiny though, so we have to play through an Imperm, a Shark Cannon, and an Enforcer. And him setting the Lightning Storm was really bad because he could have just faked a Nib there, which would have made me way more cautious of the plays, but him faking a back row there is of course okay, but me knowing that this is not the Shark Cannon knows that I can always go for a Phoenix or Unicorn on this. The Shark Cannon I'm going to force out in the meantime, and the last back row I can then theoretically leave around hanging, or can just force it for free with a lot of plays. So we start out with the Brave engine here because it's going to eat the Enforcer no matter what, basically. Leaves us with the body on board to go into Phoenix and makes it so that the Enforcer is in the graveyard, so we have access to it with the Dark Charmer, of course. So we use the right here. Get the Fateful, use Fateful, he enforces here. Then I'm like, okay, I have the perfect hand to play around the Shark Cannon on our PKs. We just start with the E-Tally. On the for the level 3 to go into Phoenix, discarding the Stain Grease because it's the least important PK we have. Go into Phoenix, pitch Stain Grease, like I said, hit that. We get Imperm, that's fine. We are now normal in Cloak. I thought first we go into Unicorn, pitching the Taunt Scales, but then I thought, if he pitches the if he uses Shark Cannon to go for Taunt Scales, we actually are in a very rough spot. So instead I decide to, because we do have the E-Tally and have a free pop in the in the Enforcer, I just decided to go for the Hark, summon back the Enforcer. He Shark Cannons the Cloak in the meantime, that's perfectly fine. We still have 2 level 3s access thanks to Stained Grease, so we actually have full combo still. And we have a way to out the last back row, and we now know that the card in hand is nothing remotely dangerous because we know it's the area 0, so we use E-Tally, Chain Enforcer, pop the E-Tally and the last back row. He doesn't have Ray access, so an OTK is way easier than usual. Get the level 3, use Stain Greaves to summon the Taunt Scales, and then we are good to go. We have everything we need. We even have a discard fodder for the Taunt Scales with the boot, which we can have access to, of course, with Cherubini. Sending Cloak, so it doesn't really matter that he discarded, banished the Cherubini, the Cloak anyways with the Shark Cannon. So now we use Cloak, summon Boots, summon Taunt Scales, and we basically win here. Yeah, he says it was an insane hand, especially going second, having all these, having all gas against Sky Striker is really important. Going second, you only really have back row hate to maybe trade like 1 for 1 or 2 for 1 for his Anchors or Shark Cannons, but a lot of Sky Striker's disruptions will come from the hand. So there's not a lot you can do against that. Yeah, we just win here. He's looking at his top deck. Nothing he can do there. So that was it for the Sky Striker replay. I hope you could learn something from probably the hardest PK matchup in the meta, especially if you play against good people like those in high-rated DB. Overall, you just have to keep in mind that back row hate is the most important cards you can put in. You definitely want to go second in a matchup like this, even though you're a combo deck. The combo you do doesn't really accomplish a lot. Even if you play the Scythe lock, you probably are going to get handshot to death, and you can't really commit too much to the board disruption-wise, because a lot of the disruption lies in the fog blades and cards like these, and they don't just do enough against Sky Striker. So I hope you could learn something. You guys are the Smiths. Class is out. Professor Sunrise out. Peace.